Jorge Luis Borgues was born on August 24, 1899, in Buenos Aires, Argentina. He was a writer who specialized in writing short stories, poems, and essays. Borges was born into a middle-class family with a distinguishing military background. He was taught at home until the age of 11 and learned how to speak English by the age of 9. After his family moved to Geneva, Switzerland in 1914, Borges continued his schooling and graduated high school in 1918. While in Europe, Borges learned the German and French languages and was exposed to the literacy movement that later influenced his career.
After moving back to Argentina, Borges worked with Martín Fierro and published several poems within the journal Proa he had founded once moving back. In 1923, his first published book was a volume of poems. It included the authorship of several volumes of essays and poems and the founding of 3 literary journals, and ended with a biography. The book was entitled Favor de Buenos Aires and was published. 2 years later, in 1925, he published Luna de Enfrente, followed by his award-winning Cuaderno de San Martín in 1929.
Borges' first story was published in 1933 under the pseudonym of Francisco Bustos, where he then became most famous for writing short fiction stories. In 1938, he suffered a severe head wound, but continued to write and produce what were said to be his most fantastic stories. His eyesight began to fail in 1955 to the point where he was almost blind, but he continued to write and publish his work. He was nominated several times for the Nobel Prize for Literature, but was never awarded the honor. He was, however, presented the National Prize for Literature and an honorary doctorate by the University of Cuyo, and was also awarded the Prix Formentor alongside Samuel Beckett in 1961. Jorge Luis Borges died of cancer on June 14, 1986 in Geneva, Switzerland. During his last years alive, he has lost his vision after becoming head of Argentine National Library. Despite him being blind, he didn't stop writing. Between the years of 1953 and 1970, he stopped writing short stories and wrote more poetry instead. He also received many honors in his late life, among them being the Jerusalem Prize, the Gold Medal from the Academia Française, the Miguel de Cervantes Award, and the Bagsan Prize. The moon. There is such solitude in that gold. The moon of these nights is not the moon the first Adam saw. Long centuries of human vigil have filled her with an old lament. She is your mirror. The moon is something historical. A lot of the times we look for landmarks and we fail to acknowledge one we see every day. Since the beginning of time, the moon is mentioned regardless of culture, religion, or any other historical background. The moon has made a mark in everyone's history. This is our interpretation of the poem The Moon. Now here's an interview with Jorge Luis Borges.
Como un regalo personal.
La tarea del arte es esa, es transformar, digamos, lo que nos ocurre continuamente, transformar todo eso en símbolos, transformarlo en música, transformarlo en algo que puede perdurar en la memoria de los hombres. Es nuestro deber ese, tenemos que cumplir con él, si no nos sentimos muy desdichados. ¿Sí? Pero en el caso del escritor, o en el caso de todo artista, tiene el deber, el gozoso deber muchas veces, de transmutar todo eso en símbolos. Esos símbolos pueden ser, me imagino, pueden ser colores, pueden ser formas, pueden ser sonidos. En el caso del poeta son sonidos y también son palabras y fábulas, relatos, poesías. Quiero decir que la tarea del poeta es continua. No se trata de trabajar de tal hora a tal hora. Uno continuamente está recibiendo algo del mundo externo. Y todo eso tiene que ser transmutado y será eventualmente transmutado. Y en cualquier momento puede llegar esa revelación. Es decir, que este poeta no descansa. Está trabajando continuamente. Cuando sueña también. Además, la vida del escritor es una vida solitaria. Uno cree estar solo y al cabo de los años, si los astros son propicios, uno descubre que uno está en el centro de una especie de un vasto círculo de amigos invisibles, de amigos que uno no conocerá nunca físicamente, pero que lo quieren a uno, y eso es una recompensa más que suficiente.